All right, welcome. I hope folks can hear me. This is a new setup I'm using as I'm traveling. I thought I'd just pop on and do some readings for a little bit. I am not at my home. I'm out visiting family, but I was able to find a quiet space with what I hope is decent internet connection so that I can spend a little time doing some readings. So hello Starry Night, hello Bukal. Hello Maria. Okay, can you all hear me okay? I don't have the usual microphone that I use because I'm traveling, as I said, and so I'm just using the microphone on my laptop, and I hope I'm coming through all right. If you can't hear me, please let me know and I'll see if I can adjust. Otherwise, I'll assume that the audio is okay. Oh, it's perfect. Fantastic. Thanks for letting me know. All right, so today's probably going to be a kind of short stream. We'll see how long I go, but at least a handful of readings. We'll just see how it is. It's also earlier earlier in the day than I usually do this, and so for most people, I suspect they're still like working and busy with other things. But okay, so my list right now is Starry Night, followed by Bukal, followed by Maria. And so why don't we start off with Starry Night, who it looks like we've already... Do we have a question yet? No. Yes, we do. So Starry Night asks, what are Joseph's feelings and intentions regarding me? All right, let's do that. I like to shuffle the question into the cards. So what are Joseph's feelings and intentions regarding Starry Night? Okay. Okay, here we go for Starry Night. What are Joseph's feelings and intentions? We've got the Emperor. First card up is the Emperor, followed by the Ace of Swords. Followed by 3 Swords. And of course the Emperor is looking to his left, so I'm going to place the cut deck here, and we will flip that over in a moment and see what the surprise card is to give us a little more information about what that emperor is looking at. If it's not obvious, I would read the emperor as being Joseph, right? And so the emperor's looking over here at something, and we'll need to see what it is. Okay, so if Joseph is showing up here as the emperor, this suggests that he's someone who wants stability, security, but also maybe power. He's someone who maybe also wants control, right? He wants to be able to know that whatever he's done in his life has allowed him to sort of sit, as we see the emperor sitting, sit with a kind of security, right? With the Ace of Swords, we can think here in terms of a decision. This card often I read as the card of a decision is coming up, like a big change that is coming. So we could say that the emperor has a big decision or a big change at his back, right? So in other words, it's something that maybe he's not completely aware of. It's sort of sitting around at the back of his mind, that kind of thing, right? And it seems that this decision has to do with even more swords. And so with 3 swords, we can think about little problems that might be adding up. There could be irritations, annoyances, something that is just pinching or poking a little bit, right? Maybe something causing a little bit of annoyance or like a setback of some kind. Not necessarily the kind of obstacle that totally ends something, but 3 swords is there's some kind of issue, there's some kind of problem going on, right? And so to relate this then back to your question, what are his feelings and intentions towards you? I would say his feelings are that there may be something between the two of you which is bugging him a bit, and he may feel like he needs to say something about it. He needs to make a decision about it, right? Because it's perhaps threatening his sense of security or stability, or power in some way. So let's flip over the deck and see what the surprise card is, and let's see how that might inform the reading. It's the King of Cups. So, is there another guy in the picture? This is the question that comes, right? Because now we have 2 men, and the emperor, Joseph, is looking at this other man. They're looking at each other. And so is there like some other guy, whether it's another romantic interest, or sometimes the King of Cups is the father figure, right? And so he may feel like, or it could even be his father, Joseph's father, right? But some other man who is in the picture in some way, which he feels is causing an issue. Okay, that seems to be what his big concern is, right? And so this could be an older guy in your life, like your father. This could be another love interest, especially when we consider the cup. It could even be, depending on what, like if you're a student or if, like if you work, the King of Cups is not usually like a boss or a teacher, but if you like worked in some kind of arts field, or were studying art in some way, then that's possible, right? But yeah, he thinks that there's some other man in the picture certainly could be a love interest, because with cups we think love, right? Um, and that is making him feel like something is bugging him. It's getting a little worse. It's not bad, right? Because we're only going from one sword to three swords. It's not like we're going from one sword to 10 or something. But these are little problems that are sort of adding up and poking at him and bugging him in some way. And it has to do with the idea that there's some other guy in the picture, right? And so maybe if this is someone that you want to be, if Joseph is someone that you want to be in a relationship with, he may think, well, you've got someone else out there, right? Some other loving man, right? Some other man of the heart. And so he may not even consider you as a potential connection if he thinks you're sort of taken by this other guy. And then the other thing I'd say is, if sort of implied in your question is, does he like have a crush on me, or is he interested in dating me, that kind of thing, right? Seeing the Emperor with the swords suggests, if we don't have any cups in the picture, it suggests that at least right now, those feelings are not present, right? Although seeing the King of Cups here suggests that it could be because, or part of the reason could be because he thinks you're sort of doing that with someone else. Okay, so that's Starry Night's reading. What are Joseph's feelings and intentions? You ask, so he wants to address it with me. I think that his feelings for whether you have another man, I think that his feelings for you right now are not love kind of feelings. But it could be because he thinks your heart is taken by another man, right? So if you want to open any kind of pathway towards Joseph, I think the preliminary step for that, to make it even within the realm of possibility, would be for it to be very clear to him that you are available, right? That you are single. And then perhaps that could change the way he thinks about you. Yeah. Well, and of course, if he's not available, then that adds a whole other problem to the mix, right? Generally, I advise that you don't date people who are already dating others, right? Unless, of course, it's everybody knows, and it's, secrets are usually not good in this kind of thing. Okay, so next up we have Bukal. You're welcome, Starry Night. So Bukal, are you here? So Bukal, if you're here, let us know. You are here. Fantastic. Okay, so you're up next. And I see. Okay, I see your question earlier. What Arfat feels for me, will he come back to me? Okay. So this is Bukal's reading. The question is, what does Arfat feel for Bukal, and will he come back? Okay, here we go. Bukal's reading. What are Arfat's feelings for Bukal? Will he come back to Bukal? And hello, Litomi. I will add you to the bottom of the list. Okay, Bukal. 3 cards. First card. 4 batons. First card, 4 batons. Second card, King of Swords. Third card, Page of Swords. The 2 figures are looking at each other, and they both have swords raised, right? Perhaps as though preparing to fight. So the way you phrased your question suggests that the 2 of you dated in the past and have broken up, right? And so these 2 figures would indicate that the fighting is still fighting, or conflict might be a better way to put it, right? Because think about, what do we do with swords? Well, we fight, we attack, we defend. It's that kind of adversarial relationship is what happens with swords generally, right? At best, we compete with swords, right? At worst, we stab, right, with swords. And so seeing the 2 figures, don't these 2 look like they're about to fight? Yeah, they both have their swords drawn, and they're like, who's going to strike first? And so what are his feelings for you? Well, I think his feelings are that feelings of conflict, right? Like there was conflict before, and the sense is that hasn't changed or wouldn't change. And so seeing these 2 cards next to the 4 of batons, 4s are about things staying the way that they are, right? 4 is a number of stability. Think of the 4 legs of a table or a chair, right? It holds things as they are. And so this suggests no change, right? Things staying as they are and locked in a kind of mutual moment of conflict, right? And so I think his feelings are that things haven't changed, and because things haven't changed, what happened before is likely to happen again, right? And so that suggests that he would not come back in a kind of starting a relationship again, kind of way. Does that make sense? We've got the big X of the batons suggesting things stay as they are. There's just kind of stability and equilibrium maintained with the two figures ready to lock swords. So welcome to those who may be joining. My name is Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot, doing just a few free live readings today. I am currently traveling, and so I don't have my usual setup, but I have some quiet space at the moment and what seems to be an okay internet connection, so I decided to hop on and do some readings. Welcome, April M7. I can add you to the bottom of the list. And so the list right now, we're just finishing Buchal's reading, and so next up will be Maria Scorpio, followed by Litomi, followed by April M7. Okay, so Buchal, I suspect that maybe this isn't what you were hoping to hear, but I do think it's important to read what I see as opposed to, telling people what they want to hear. And so that's what I see, right? Is stability of things staying as they are, no change, right? And then the two figures, king and page, representing, I believe, him and you, with their swords raised. Okay, so next up we have Maria Scorpio, and it looks like we've got the question in the chat. And so Maria's question is, I'm wondering, was Philip attracted to the African lady at the truck driver course? Was it a sensual attraction or just a chill talk? Okay, I think I've read about this before, but I don't mind. I don't think there's a problem with reading for the same or similar questions multiple times necessarily. Like, I don't inherently think that's a problem, because I think the cards will always get you to the truth. The only time I think it's a problem is when you ignore what the cards are saying until you get the answer you want. And that's obviously a problem, right? Because I think the cards should be a doorway into something different, as opposed to just reflecting back to us what we want. But I digress. So we're reading for Maria Scorpio. Was Philip attracted to the African lady at the truck driver course? Was it a sensual attraction or just a chill talk? Okay, here we go. For Maria. Ooh. I've got a jumper. That doesn't happen often for me. I'm usually really careful with my shuffling. I don't get jumpers very often. But that one jumped right out, and it is the Ace of Cups. So I'm going to leave it there. Okay, we'll pull 3 cards now. 10 coins. Death. Or the 13th trump card. And the star. This is interesting. Let me just look at this a moment. Okay. This is very interesting. So, I'm going to come back to the jumper, which I think is important in a moment. And I think it's important that it was a jumper and not one that I dealt out sort of intentionally. And I'll say why in a minute. First card down, 10 of coins. This suggests he found the transaction with her, the conversation with this other woman, this African lady. He found it valuable, interesting, joyful, but very much of a practical, intellectual kind of sense, right? Nothing to do with sensuality, right? You say chill talk. This is very much more the chill talk kind of thing, right? However, so that's on the surface, right? Not sensual. This is, as far as he is concerned, consciously, right? As far as he knows, what his interest in her was what's the word? A valuable exchange, right? Of words, right? And nothing more. But we see these two figures, the death card and the star. Well, the star shows a nude woman. I've censored the card for the sake of YouTube, right? But in the uncensored version of the card, right, she's a nude woman. So that does suggest there's an interest there in her being unclothed, which certainly gets to the sensual part of your question. But the death card here is what's so interesting, because it's not like it's not like he's the emperor looking at her or one of the court cards looking at her. It's the death card, right? Suggesting that it like makes him feel like his humanness melts away, that he just becomes a skeleton of himself in the face of this other woman, right? This other lady. And the surprise card, the thing that I don't think he's totally aware of, is the Ace of Cups, which is there is something there, which is a little bit of desire. It is the beginning, aces are beginnings, usually, right? A potentiality of desire, right? So, to answer the question in what I hope is maybe a more straightforward way, as far as he consciously knows, his interest in her is purely as another person, not sensual at all. He's interested in sharing ideas with her. He's interested in having a conversation and sharing, like having their minds meet, right? But in doing that, he's perhaps imagining what she looks like underneath her clothes. And this is maybe scaring him a little bit too, to the point where his sensual feelings for her are not fully conscious. So I think that he does have an attraction, a sensual attraction, as you put it, but that he doesn't know it. That's how I'd put it. He has a sensual attraction to this woman, but he doesn't know that he has it. It's buried. It's unconscious. It's What do people say? It's his shadow side, that kind of thing, right? But I think it's there. I think there's an attraction way deep underneath the surface that is very much in a potential state as opposed to an actual state. It's not on the surface, it's not outside, it's down in the bones, right? So another way I could answer your question is he attracted to her? No, but unconsciously, yeah, potential. There's a potential for it there. So it's not an easy yes or no answer to your question. I'd say the answer is a no, but yes answer. No on the surface, but deep down underneath the skin, there's a potential sensual attraction sort of buried deep in there, right? Which is why we see the star, right? The woman bearing her skin. Yeah. Not necessarily that it makes him feel like death, but that it's like hitting him to his foundations, right? If you think of the way that the skeleton is kind of the foundation for our bodies, it's like down under the surface, right? It's not on the skin. It's not conscious. It's not out for everyone to see. It's down hidden underneath, right? Or maybe we could even say buried underground, in the way that with the death card, the skeleton gets buried underground, right? And then that, along with this card being a jumper, because jumpers I read as like something that's hidden down that you wouldn't see otherwise, that's unconscious, that's a surprise, that kind of thing, but that it's jumping out and trying to make itself known, right? So he may not know it consciously, but it's down, buried there underneath the surface. So welcome to those of you who are joining. I think we've got, let's see, Ari. Hello, Ari. I will add you to the list. And Jean. Hello, Jean. Welcome. I'll add you to the list. And then I think at that point, I'm going to close my list. So let me unpin that message. And put out a new pinned message. All right. So here's the list right now. This is the end of Maria Scorpio's reading. So next up is Litomi, followed by April, followed by Ari, and then Jean. So that's Litomi, April, Ari, and Jean. I don't have my usual notebook that I use to keep the list, so I'm just typing it here on a text box in my laptop. Okay, so Maria, that's what I see in the cards for your reading. That consciously, it's very much a transactional relationship of a practical, intellectual kind, right? That's this. That there's an interest, that it's relational, that it's valuable to him, but not sensual, right? But there's something else underneath the surface, right? Which is the beginning or the potential for a more sensual kind of relationship, because this woman, represented by the star, sort of gets under his skin, might be a way to put it, right? Down to the bone. But it's, it's buried. It's that kind of thing. He doesn't know that he knows. Okay, so next up on the list, we've got Litomi. So if you are here, Litomi, you are welcome to post your question. And while we wait for Litomi's question, I'm going to go grab my water because I realize I didn't bring it with me. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my water now. And we've got our question from Litomi. So Litomi asks, what do the cards reveal about my true nature, my strengths, my flaws, and the path I'm currently walking? Great question. I love that. All right, let's see. What do the cards reveal about Litomi's true nature, their strengths, their flaws, and the path they're currently walking? And welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name is Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot. I'm doing some free live readings today. My list is currently closed for free readings, although I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so that you can see when I'll be doing my next free reading live stream. I'm also available for paid private readings. And if you're interested in one of those, I encourage you to email me. And my email is tarot.hermit.lantern@gmail.com. You can also click my link tree in the video description. Okay, Litomi. What do the cards reveal about your true nature? We'll do 3 cards. There's 10 coins. 8 batons. Oh, okay. And the Knight of Cups. Okay. So 10 coins, this is intellect, right? Intellect, it can also, of course, be money, right? But I think when you're asking about your true nature, you're probably not asking about, like, is my true nature to have a lot of money? You know, that's not what your question gets at. Your question gets at, like, your personality. What kind of person are you, right? And so 10 coins here suggests a brilliant intellect, right? This is different, of course, than if I were reading the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot. I read the Tarot de Marseille most of the time. I also read Rider-Waite-Smith occasionally, though it's pretty rare, especially lately in the last year or so. So I read the 10 of coins. Coins are what is valuable to us that we can exchange with other people, right? And so these are your ideas, your mind, your intellect. They shine. Think about a coin. It's made of metal. And when polished, especially, when the light hits it, it reflects light, right? It's brilliant. It's bright. Bright in the sense of reflecting light, but also bright in the sense of smart, right? And so this card suggests like you've got a good mind, and so you should use it, right? With the Eight of Batons, I would think here that you are good at working with other people, right? At either cooperating or perhaps competing, and sometimes those things go together, with groups of people, with other folks, with like as a part of a team, that kind of thing, right? Eights I see usually is associated with groups of people, right? And so the Eight of Batons, this can be like your work team, that kind of thing. Although it doesn't have to be, right? Like, I don't know, if you played a sport or something, then I would say this could have to do with that as well. And more broadly, if it's not necessarily work related, it can be more related to your social group or your social club or your social team, that kind of thing. And so reading these cards together, because whenever possible, I'm trying to read pairs of cards, right? Synthesizing them together as opposed to individual. And so you're the most brilliant member on the team, might be a way to put that, right? Because of course 10 is the most that you can have of any one suit, right? On a single card, right? And so you've got the brightest mind on the team would be a way of reading that. And so that's part of your strengths that are part of your true nature is you should sort of lean in to the brilliance that you have, especially when we're talking about group settings, right? Because sometimes we can get overshadowed if there's a very loud voice in the room, right? Like if we're talking about a work situation, the loud person might get more recognition even if they're not smarter or even if their ideas aren't as good, right? And so there could be something in here about acknowledging how bright your ideas are, particularly in group settings when you might have to compete a little bit to get your ideas noticed or get your ideas heard, right? And so that's the first thing that I see here. It has to do with valuing and honoring the value of your mind when you're with other people. Okay. The other thing here, though, is this Knight of Cups, right? And the Knight of Cups is a figure on a horse who is offering up a cup to the group, right? And so another strength that you have, which is maybe a little bit at odds with the first pairing, is perhaps you offer up your heart in ways that make you very open emotionally to others. Maybe that is another strength that you have, is your emotional openness to others, right? That you are prone to going with the flow in a way that is comfortable, but that also can make others feel good. And that's why I say that there may be some contradiction here. Like on the one hand, you've got the brilliant, valuable ideas, but on the other hand, those ideas may not get shared if you feel that it's better to make other people comfortable, right? By offering them a cup. Does that contradiction make sense? So I think you've got two strengths which maybe sometimes contradict one another. And so I think the path you're on is to figure out how to reconcile those two things. To figure out how, on the one hand, to sort of speak your mind while also honoring your emotional openness, right? Because you can imagine someone saying, well, all right, if I am intelligent and I have good ideas, then I'm just going to shout those to the group, and I don't care who it bothers. I don't care if I step on toes. I'm just going to insist that my ideas get a fair shake, right? And the other hand, I can imagine someone saying, well, I'm not going to upset the group. I'm going to offer maybe platitudes. I'm going to say what makes other people comfortable, right? Maybe I'll get them a cup of coffee instead of saying what I really think, right? And so I think the path here is to reconcile, how do you do both of those things? Because those are the two strengths, right? Is offering up your heart, so to speak, while also honoring the brilliant ideas that you have. And all of this, I think, has to do with how you're behaving in group settings when you're with other people, in social settings, in work settings, in that kind of thing. So that's what I would say here. As far as flaws go, I think your strengths are your flaws, in the sense that you may allow one or the other of these to dominate so that it looks like a flaw, but actually it's a strength. The trick, though, is to figure out how to balance the two. Okay. That's your task. How can you do both of these things? How can your challenge, or the path that you have before you, is how to recognize that what might look like a weakness is actually a strength that you have, and how to get it into balance with your other strengths. Okay, so welcome to those who are joining. Hello, Yagmer. And to anyone else who might be listening from the wings. Next up, we have April. If April's here, you can go ahead and post your question. And you're welcome, Litomi. I hope that's, it sounds like that was useful. I'm glad that it was, and gave you some things it sounds like that was useful. I'm glad that it was, and gave you some things to think about. All right, so April wants to know, just a moment, everyone. I'm getting a weird error message. I don't know what it means. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. I hope that things are still working. So April asks, will I find a job within the next month? Or within the month? Will April find a job within the month? The job market is rough. Okay, will April find a job within the month? All right, 3 cards. All right, 3 batons, 9 batons, and the world. So this looks like a yes to me. Why? Batons is the suit of work, right? Among other things. It's what you use to, they're sticks, they're logs, you build things with them, or you compete with them. That's possible too, although work often involves competition. And they're increasing, right? From 3 to 9, from very little to quite a lot. 9 is quite a bit. It suggests that you've attained. 9 often is said to be the number of attainment. So attained work, right? And you've elevated yourself, and you're dancing about it, right? Dancing in celebration that you've completed something, that you've achieved your set goal. There may be obstacles. This card is often one of obstacles, or like needing to find a different path, a different way. Like maybe there's a problem in the path and you have to go around, find a new direction, that kind of thing. But I think it's the kind of obstacle that you're going to overcome to the point where you attain the work, that you're harvesting the fruit of your rewards, so to speak. And maybe there's a little party to celebrate your new job, and you get to dance with all of your friends around watching. This is also often the card of someone who's self-reliant, right? Someone who can take care of themselves. The figure on the world card has access to others, right? There's others around her, but she doesn't need them, right? She can take care of herself. She's surrounded herself in this cocoon or this egg or this wreath, and she's doing just fine, right? It's also the last number of the major arcana, or the trumps, suggesting the completion of something, right? It comes full circle. And so, given all of the batons here and the nature of your question, will you find a job? This suggests the numbers going up until they reach a completion, right? That you achieve your goal. So the short answer to your question I'm going to give you is a yes. This is a pretty clear yes to me, right? Okay. That one's awfully straightforward, I think. Which brings us to Ari, the Fire Queen. So Ari, if you are here, you're welcome, April. So Ari, if you are here, I can read for you. So second call for Ari. So Ari, if you're here, I can read for you. This will be the last call for Ari. Let us know you're here if you're here. All right, and if Ari's not here, then Jean is next. Maybe we can do Jean's reading. If Jean is here. Okay, so we've got Jean's question, so let's do Jean's reading. Jean asks, what are I's feelings and intentions towards me? All right, so what are I's feelings and intentions towards Jean? And welcome to anyone who might be joining. I'm Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot, doing some free live readings today. This is just a short live stream as I am currently traveling, but I had some quiet space and decent internet and thought I'd pop on for a bit. Okay, what are I's feelings and intentions toward Jean? One more riffle. Okay, there. Okay. I's feelings and intentions. Okay, so 7 swords, the devil, and the lovers. Okay. Oh boy. Holy cow indeed, Jean. There's a lot going on here. So, I mean, you know enough about the tarot to get the gist of what is here, but I will, of course, read them. So, 7 swords. This is great conflict. Some call this a card of war, at least a battle. Traditionally in cartomancy, it's the card of tears or even blood. More, if we sort of tone it down a bit, it can be that there's a mystery, that there's a test happening, or that something that others don't understand is taking place, right? There's kind of an investigation that feels like it needs to be happening, right? Something untoward or uncertain, something happening behind the scenes, perhaps. So, to your question about what are his feelings and intentions, there's sort of 2 ways we could take it. Like maybe he feels like that there's something mysterious or uncertain happening. But if we read that as his intentions, it could be that indeed his intentions are kind of mysterious, right? And the reason I would a little bit lean that direction is because of the devil card, which comes up next. And so, seeing these 2 together, the devil is about lies. It can be about deceit, or just contracts or agreements or partnerships made in bad faith, right? That things might seem to be true, but they aren't if you read the fine print. That there's like something not quite right that's tricky going on. The other possible way of reading the devil here would be the devil's a lot of fun, at least in the way I read the tarot. Like the devil card can indicate a really good time that maybe isn't good for you, right? So like I think of some of the wild nights I had like in Las Vegas, for example, when I was in my 20s. Those were devil nights. Do I regret them? No, not necessarily, but maybe I did for a while the next morning. It was a lot of fun and I have good memories, but would I do it again? Hell no. So the devil card, you'll never have more fun than with the devil card, but also you can never be in a worse position for yourself potentially than with the devil card. So there could be some of that. And then the lovers, which in the Marseille Tarot is about, some say a choice, right? But can also be the ambivalence or the uncertainty about which option to choose. So if we see the figure in the middle, right, they've got options. Should they go with this woman or with that woman? And they're ambivalent, right? There's a sense of ambivalence, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to choose, and waiting for some sign from above to strike them through the heart and just tell them, like, you tell me what to do so that I don't have to choose anymore. So ambivalence, uncertainty, feeling like they're in a ridiculous situation, and like what option could I possibly have? So what are his feelings and intentions? I think they're very much uncertain, feeling like there's something else he needs to know, something else he needs to figure out. Because I think he has a feeling of not necessarily attraction, but more like being bound, if that makes sense. Like stuck on you, but really unsure if that is good or not. And maybe feeling like he needs to test the relationship, right? Like he needs to investigate it more to determine whether or not it's good for him. Is this making sense? He may feel like bound to it in a way that makes him uncertain. He has obsessive tendencies. That's definitely the devil. So I think he's very much at a kind of crossroads. We can think of the devil at the crossroads and the having to make a choice, right, with the Lover's card. And that the choice or the crossroads he's at require him to investigate the relationship, to test it, to like find the answer to some riddle or mystery that he believes there is regarding the relationship, and that if he can do that, maybe he'll be able to finally make a decision about what the relationship means to him. These are some pretty heavy cards. 7 Swords, the Devil, and the Lovers. You'll have to keep us updated with what comes of things with him. Yeah, let's check the surprise card for sure. It's the Wheel of Fortune. Right? So this could suggest that there's a routine, a cycle that maybe he feels caught on the wheel. If we go back to the devil, and the devil being about being stuck to something, obsessing over something, going round and around and around, right? Like, how do the monkeys get off the wheel? That kind of thing. And so there may be a feeling of being stuck in a routine, right? It goes around, like things are repeating. The same thing is repeating over and over. Maybe he feels like a monkey at the circus. Yeah, 3 out of 4 majors is crazy. And with the fourth one being this 7 of, this is no small thing, the 7 of Swords. Yeah, so given also that this is the surprise card, which I often read as sort of an unconscious or unacknowledged factor, he may not know or may not be completely aware of the idea that the routine he's in is making him feel stuck or caught, right? And that may be hurting him, right? And so maybe he needs a change in the routine, and maybe he doesn't know that, right? Maybe he needs to get off the wheel, so to speak, change up the routine, not just repeat things the way things have been going. And that if he could upset or change or alter the cycle of the relationship, whatever's repeating in it, then maybe he wouldn't feel as sort of stuck. So it may be that there just needs to be a change in how the two of you are relating to each other in your routine. Maybe he feels the need to test the routine, right, by like changing it. Okay, so I will go ahead and do one more call for Ari, if Ari is here, because I skipped over Ari and she was on the list, but I'll just check one more time if Ari is here. You're welcome, Jean. Give us an update. I'd love to hear where this goes. And you're very welcome. All right, and if Ari's not here, I know this was a short one, but I think I'm going to call it for today. I'm visiting family, and I should get back to them. But thanks for everyone who joined me today. This was wonderful. I've missed live streaming. It's been a couple of weeks, I think, since I've had the opportunity. I'm traveling here for about 3 more weeks, and I'm going to try to pop on in the meantime, sort of like I did today. So I hope to see some of you in a future live stream. And until then, take care of each other, be well, be kind to each other. Thanks for being so nice in the comments. I really appreciate that. And it was really great to spend some time with y'all. All right, well, I'll see you next time. Be well and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everybody.